Hello Internet, my name is the Golden Stalfos, and today I want to talk to you guys about Kingsfield. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Kingsfield is the series that From Software was working on directly before they made Demon's Souls. And it's not like it's the only thing they had done before that. I was quite fond of the Lost Kingdom series that they released back in the GameCube era. A lot of other people were very fond of the Armored Core series, although I didn't have a lot of exposure to it. And there were a bunch of other individual one-off titles that they had done prior to moving into the Dark Souls genre. However, Kingsfield is the first series that involved Miyazaki, and it's widely considered to be sort of a precursor to Demon's Souls in a lot of ways. Now, upon playing through the game, I can say with absolute certainty that it does have a lot of similar lore elements. You know how all of the games kind of have a lot of the same recurring characters, even if they're across different titles, or how the Sword of Moonlight shows up. It's like that. There's a bunch of recurring elements from Software's various titles that were originally introduced in Kingsfield. However, other than that, I don't think it's very similar to Demon's Souls or Dark Souls. For one thing, it's not a 3D action RPG, it's a dungeon crawler, and it always wanted to be a dungeon crawler. It was meant to be just like old dungeon crawler PC titles from, way back when. And quite frankly, it succeeds really well in doing that. Unfortunately, it doesn't really do much to fix the problems with the genre. It's slow and clunky, and the menu interface is... FromSoft just has problems with menus, man. Like, they're so bad. I don't know what it is, but they've just been cursed to never make a well-designed menu, and it's so brutal. The closest they ever got to a good menu is Dark Souls 2, and even that I have some issues with, but goddamn. And let me tell you, going further back in their catalog does not make the menus less awful. If you thought Demon's Souls was clunky, you ain't seen nothing yet. The story is also a pretty simple, straightforward dark fantasy thing. You've got a quest to kill an evil monster at the bottom of this graveyard that has 6 levels of tombs and shit. Along the way you fight a bunch of crazy monsters, most of which don't really feel at home in a graveyard, but whatever. You collect magic relics, you fulfill ancient prophecies, you solve puzzles. It's a dungeon crawl. It's really good as a dungeon crawl. The combat is very simple and straightforward. Basically, you have one button that attacks, one button that casts magic, and there's no way to, lock on, aim, circle strafe, dodge, block, parry, any of the advanced mechanisms that you might have expected from their later games. Combat is very simple and straightforward. You run up and hit the enemy, then you back away so that they don't hit you while your attack is recharging, because you still have a stamina bar and it goes completely away every time you hit, and you can hit again before the stamina bar refills, but you'll deal less damage. And also there's no damage indicators anywhere in the game, so you really just don't know if anything's working until the enemy finally dies. It's great. Now at this point I should point out that Kingsfield originally came out for the PlayStation 2 with just the jankiest controls, right? Just what even is this nonsense FromSoft? Have you ever seen a game played before? What are you doing? And it also originally didn't come out in America at all. It was only released in Japanese. The sequel was popular enough to get ported to America, but since we'd never played the original, they just called the second Kingsfield 1, and when Kingsfield 3 came out, we called it Kingsfield 2. So if you're looking up information or guides about the game, sometimes you'll get redirected to a page talking about Kingsfield 2 when you're looking for Kingsfield 1, because fuck you. It's great. However, the footage from this video is not from the original shitty version way back when, but rather from the more modern shitty version released on PC. That's right, it was released on PC in English, no less. How, you might ask? Well, a few years back, before Dark Souls became really popular, FromSoft decided to release a tool for PCs to build dungeon crawler games like Kingsfield. And in that tool, they rebuilt the entire original Kingsfield game as a demo and included all of its assets as usable assets in your creation process. So if you download this program called The Sword of Moonlight, the web page is still open. I can link to it in the description. You can play the original Kingsfield for free in updated graphics with a proper translation. However, the proper translation is different from older fan translations, so a lot of the guides you might see online will be slightly off. Things like the dragon crystal they refer to as the dragon tree fruit. Little things like that that are a little bit different. And also, since the images have been updated, if something doesn't look the same, that's because they improved the visuals. Sorry. Also, I think most people haven't heard of the Sword of Moonlight version, so a lot of the guides related to this game just don't mention it or use its assets or anything, and it's hard. So, sorry. However, if you want to play this game, that is the easiest and cheapest way to do it legally, and you get a free editor out of it, which you can use to build your own similar style dungeon crawler games if you want. TBH, the editor is very clunky, and there are certain aspects you can't change, like the in-game menu, which sucks because the in-game menu is awful. Also, there are aspects of the button mapping that you can't reset at all unless you're in the in-game menu. But if you're willing to accept that level of clunkiness in your finished production, then you could easily make a pretty robust and fun dungeon crawler without spending a whole lot of time on it. There's a lot of pre-built assets and a lot of pre-installed things in here to make it really good. By the way, if you want to see what can be done with this game creation engine, there are a couple of other example projects on the website besides Kingsfield 1 that have been submitted by fans. And also, over the next probably 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be streaming myself building some stuff in this engine and taking suggestions from the audience. So drop by when I'm doing that and leave some suggestions. Might make the game better, who knows? But that's enough about Sword of Moonlight. Let's get back to talking about Kingsfield 1 itself. As I said before, the combat is very basic, and there's not really any indication of whether or not you're doing damage, except certain enemy models will flinch when they take damage. And yet the combat is still really fun and rewarding. It mostly consists of moving forward, smacking a dude, and backing up repeatedly until it dies. And yet, it's really fun. The game is permeated by this really dark, grimy atmosphere. The draw distance is probably a little shorter than it should be, even on the PC version. Although if you're building your own game in the PC version, you can improve the draw distance, so I'm not sure why they didn't, but whatever. Maybe they like the atmosphere. But you're in this, dark cave system that you need to explore and find relics and activate switches and destroy enemies, and it's really cool. Danger lurks behind every corner, but so does anticipation and excitement and the idea that you might find something cool. Now, this draw of the joy of exploration can easily be stymied if you look up a map externally, but still, it's pretty fun. The in-game map is very incomplete and doesn't show everything that you need in order to get through a level and stuff. So you'll often be going off the beaten path in order to find your way through. Unfortunately, the map doesn't update as you explore things, so that's makes it a little hard to find areas you've explored before and go back to them if they're not on the map, but whatever. Kingsfield also has an absolutely unforgiving difficulty curve. Like, when you first start the game, you have no equipment except a cruddy little short sword that can't do anything. And basically, you'll immediately run into monsters that you cannot kill with that very easily. You do also have a spell, but magic doesn't regenerate. There's not even an item that regenerates magic. You have to get through most of the first floor and unlock the dragon pool before you can gain the ability to get any of your magic power back, which feels wrong. Like, I'm not saying it should, automatically regenerate, but like, there should be some way to get your magic power back besides activating this pool, and there isn't. And, after you've spent a lot of time running around grinding in the first floor, you'll go to the second floor and immediately be met with much stronger enemies. Like, some of them so much stronger it's baffling. And some of the enemies can't even be hit with your sword and have to be hit with your one attack spell that you can't recharge. And then you get to the third floor and they get even more overbearing. Like, it's an even bigger leap. And it kind of just keeps going like that. Like, every time you progress, the enemies jump in power to the point where you still feel completely fucking worthless when you get to the new stage, even if you spent a lot of time on the previous stage and felt kind of overpowered by the time you left. You're just completely out of your depth. It's crazy. Now, this can be mitigated somewhat by the fact that healing items are purchasable and pretty abundant, and so you don't really have to worry too much about running out of them, and you can push through harder enemies just by pausing and healing and then attacking and then pausing and healing and then attacking. But it's still pretty hard. And if you run up against someone that's just a little bit stronger than you thought they would be, they can sometimes one-shot you before you have a chance to heal. So the combat's unforgiving. The map is an absolute labyrinth. The game itself has tons of secrets and backtracking and weird clunkiness going on. And yeah, it kind of feels like Souls, doesn't it? It even has old school save points where you have to get to a cross and press to activate it, and then you can use the save. And until then, you can't use the save. On the SOM version, you are allowed to save in menu if that's enabled for a particular game, but it's not enabled for Kingsfield, so you still have to go to the save points. And overall, it's just a really fun, janky old experience. Obviously, the graphics don't hold up today, and obviously, even compared to a lot of other dungeon crawlers, there's some wonkiness going on with the controls and the menu, and ugh. But if you've ever been a fan of dungeon crawlers in the past, you're gonna enjoy playing Kingsfield. It's a really good example of the genre. And from what I understand, it only gets better as the series goes on, so I can't wait to play those other games too. BTW, if you can't wait for me to get to those other games and just need to hear someone talk about them, I recommend Aesir Aesthetics. They've done some really, really great dives into this series, and it's just fantastic. So check them out if you want. And in the meantime, be sure to check out my streams on Twitch, where I play games my girlfriend has never played with her, and where I'll be building a game in Sword of Moonlight for however long it takes to do that. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next life. Laters. Hey, thanks for watching that video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stupid YouTube crap. Also, you can find me on Twitch at the Golden Stalfos, obviously. On Wednesdays, me and my girlfriend stream playthroughs of games she's never played before, and that's a lot of fun. And on other days, I will sometimes randomly do a challenge run or something if I'm feeling like it. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter to make extra sure you get video notifications. And I have a Patreon if and only if you have money to burn. But to be fair, if you have money to burn, you should also consider some charities. There are always a few linked in my description, just in case. Oh, and be sure to leave positive comments down below for my girlfriend who volunteered to edit my videos for free because she's awesome. And yeah, thanks for watching.